Real-world violence and video games, the classic unfounded duo that has been at the cornerstone of media reporting for decades now. You may think that in 2024 such a baseless narrative had been abandoned, but nope. As we learn more about the alleged healthcare killer and his gaming past, it seems ugly tropes are rearing their head once again. After all, he played an assassin game. I'm Ash Dixon, and this is GINX News. Like many of you, I have been rather gripped since the murder of the UnitedHealthcare CEO Brian Thompson last week. Early on Wednesday morning, he was shot dead by a masked assailant who somewhat seemed to vanish via e-bike into Central Park. Now, even from across the pond, this felt like a huge story because worldwide there are a select few things that just everyone knows about America. They love their guns, they're obsessed with red Solo cups, and their healthcare system is so disgustingly broken it's actually beyond comprehension. In fact, I have a distinct childhood memory of watching an episode of SpongeBob SquarePants where Mr. Krabs is in hospital before he gets pushed out into the street because he didn't have insurance. I remember turning to my stepdad at the time and worryingly asking, "We have insurance, right?" before he reassuringly told me that that hellscape only existed in the US. And so it really is no surprise that a crime as heinous as murder would be met with such large-scale apathy and even celebration, especially when millions of people themselves have been victim to the corporate violence that is the US healthcare system. It all set the scene for a fascinating manhunt. Who was this guy? What's his story, especially when he leaves behind bullet casings that read "Deny, Defend, Depose." But with only a few stills of an ambiguous smiling man, could this be one of the half of US murders that go unsolved? Well, considering the status of the victim, probably not. And so earlier this week, 26-year-old Luigi Mangione was arrested in a McDonald's one state over in Pennsylvania. Reports say a staff member tipped off the police after thinking it looked similar to the shooter, which prompted a mass review bomb of the restaurant, which Google promptly removed. It's important to remember that there was a $60,000 reward out for this dude as well, which could have played into any decision making. Not that they'll definitely receive it, according to some news reports, but hey, let's not act like everyday people getting screwed by the establishment isn't an expected theme at this point. And so we had a name and face, and you know what that means. Absolutely everyone goes into overdrive trying to unearth everything they possibly can about him on the internet. But who actually is he? Well, the answer you get depends on the articles that you read. And it's here that I would like to draw your attention to an article by NBC News. The headline reads, "Extremely ironic. Suspect in UnitedHealthcare CEO slaying played video game killer, friend recalls." Whoa, he played a video game killer? Holy moly. Let's read on, shall we? Luigi Mangione, who was arrested and charged with murder in the shooting death of UnitedHealthcare CEO Brian Thompson, once belonged to a group of Ivy League gamers who played assassins, a member of the group told NBC News. Assassins? Damn, that sounds violent. I wonder what horrible video game NBC is referring to. In fact, let's play our own game, shall we? With that limited information, what game do you think that he played? Here's the obligatory royalty-free quiz music, and it was Among Us. Yep, video game killer Luigi played Among Us, the dumb cartoon game which at one point reached nearly 500 million monthly active users, which was mostly made up of children running around and getting traumatized by this guy. In fact, wait a second, I recognize that guy. And the article gets worse because it initially describes Among Us as a game where some players are secretly assigned to be killers. Like, if you're reading that as some boomer, you're envisioning some scary Dead Space shit, not the cosmic descendants of the Teletubbies. In fact, it was only later that they edited in the paragraph, "Among Us is a child-friendly whodunit game. The crewmates are simply drawn, cartoonish-looking astronauts." Obviously, the article doesn't directly blame video games for his alleged actions. If anything, the skeptic in me feels like they made such implications for the clickbaity outrage. Either way, it left the creators of Among Us feeling a bit awkward. But of course, Luigi's a 26-year-old dude. He played other games too. And so articles surrounding his gaming habits start to pop up, and a picture begins to emerge of this big-time gamer. In school, he made a mobile game called Pivot Plane, which was essentially a top-down Flappy Bird. He worked on Civ 6 as an intern at Firaxis Games, where he quashed more than 300 bugs. That's according to his LinkedIn anyway. The Steam profile purported to be his is fairly standard, with hundreds of hours logged across games like PUBG, Terraria, Rocket League, and Civ 6. In fact, here's something extremely ironic. He had 8 hours played on Mr. President, where the objective is to prevent assassination attempts. Maybe it was some reverse research? No, both his Reddit and Twitter account indicate a person who had more of a love for casual games. He enthusiastically posted on the Pokemon Go subreddit, and his Twitter banner image featured the 3rd gen Pokemon Breloom, which, as a Pokemon fan, is an odd choice. Maybe he likes its dual fighting grass type. Others speculate that there's a wider meaning, with one theory saying its Pokédex number 286 refers to Proverbs 28:6, which reads, "Better is the poor who walks in his integrity than he who is crooked, though he be rich." Now that would be extremely ironic. Overall, all of this is making gamers feel a bit uncomfortable, because once again it feels like games could become the scapegoat, especially when you consider all the other information that has been revealed about Luigi, a man with a history of excruciating back problems, a man from a wealthy, highly educated background, a man aged 26, the age that people lose their parents' healthcare coverage in America. It's important to note that at this point he is still just a suspect, and with the upcoming trial and its likely unprecedented public response, this story is far from over. But as it continues to unfold, I can tell you one thing that this story is not about: video games. If you enjoyed this video, please consider subscribing. We're a tiny channel and we pour a lot into these gaming news videos 3 times a week, and comment down below your thoughts. After all, there is a ton to talk about here. Thanks for watching.